Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapata Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prisabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमां विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृद्यन्तस्तो भद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सतां नस्तप्रायश्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भागवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead who is praised with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. 4.3.17. Hare Krishna. 1 second. Hare Krishna, Rishikesh Prabhu and Dheeraj Prabhu Tanda Pram Jai Shri Prabhupada. Text number 17. Vidya tapo vittava purvaya kulai satam gunai sabdiraset asattameterai smritau hatayam britamana durdrisha stabda na pashyanti hidama bluyasham. Vidya, education, tapaha, austerity, vitta, wealth, vapu, beauty of body, etc. Vaya, youth, kulai, with heritage, satam, of the pious, gunai, by such qualities, sadbi, 6, asattama itarai, having the opposite result to those who are not great souls, smritau, good sense, hatayam, being lost, brita, bhritamana durdrisha, blind due to pride, stabda, being proud, na, not, pashyanti, see, he, 4, dhamma, the glories, bu, bu, bhuyasam, of the great souls. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Although the six qualities of education, austerity, wealth, beauty, youth, and heritage are for the highly elevated, one who is proud of possessing them becomes blind, and thus he loses his good sense and cannot appreciate the glories of great personalities. Purport. It may be argued that since Daksha was very learned, wealthy, and austere and had descended from a very exalted heritage, how could he be unnecessarily angry towards another? The answer is that when the qualities of good education, good parentage, beauty, and sufficient wealth are misplaced in a person who is puffed up by all these possessions, they produce a very bad result. Milk is a very nice food, but when milk is touched by an envious serpent, it becomes poisonous. Similarly, material assets such as education, wealth, beauty, and good parentage are undoubtedly nice, but when they decorate persons of malicious nature, then they act adversely. Hmm. Another example given by Chanakya Pandit is that a serpent has a jewel on his head. That a serpent that has a jewel on its head is still fearful because it is a serpent. A serpent by nature is envious of other living entities, even though they be faultless. When a serpent bites another creature, it is not necessarily because the other creature is at fault. It is the habit of serpent to bite innocent creatures. Similarly, although Daksha was qualified by many material assets, because he was proud of his possessions and because he was envious, all those qualities were polluted. It is sometimes, therefore, detrimental for a person advancing in spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness to possess such material assets. Kunti Devi, while offering prayers to Krishna, addressed him as Akinchana Gochara, one who is easily approached by those who are bereft of all material acquisitions. Material exhaustion is an advantage for advancement in Krishna consciousness. Although if one is conscious of his eternal relationship with the Supreme Person of Godhead, he can utilize his material assets, such a great learning and beauty, such as great learning and beauty and exalted ancestry, for the service of the Lord. Then such assets become glorious. In other words, unless one is Krishna conscious, all his material possessions are zero. But when this zero is by the side of the Supreme One, it at once increases in value to 10. Unless situated by the side of the Supreme One, zero is always zero. One can add 100 zeros, but the value will still remain zero. Unless one's material assets are used in Krishna consciousness, they may play havoc and degrade the possessor. Text number 18. नैतादृशानां स्वजन व्यापेक्षया गृहान् प्रति याद् अनवस्थितात्मनां येऽप्यागतान् वक्रधियाभिचक्षते आरोपिता भ्रूभिरमर्शनाक्षिभिः na, not etadrishanam. Like this, svajana, kinsmen, vyapekshaya, depending on that, grihan, in the house of, no, in the house of, pratiyat, one should go, anavashtita, disturbed, atmanam, mind, ye, those, abhyagatan, guests, vakradiya, with cold reception, Abhichakshate, looking at Aropita Brubi with raised eyebrows. Amarshana, angry. Akshibi, with the eyes. Translation. One should not go to anyone's house, even on the consideration of his being a relative or friend, when the man is disturbed in his mind and looks upon the guest with raised eyebrows and angry eyes. Hmm. Purport. However low a person may be, he is never unkind to his children, wife, and nearest kin. Even a tiger is Even a tiger is kind to his cubs. For within the animal kingdom, the cubs are treated very nicely. Since Sati was the daughter of Daksha, however cruel and contaminated he might be, naturally it was accepted that he would receive her very nicely. But here it is indicated by the word anavashtita that such a person cannot be trusted. Tigers are very kind to their cubs, but it is also known that sometimes they eat them. Oh. Malicious persons should not be trusted because they are always unsteady. Thus Sati was advised not to go to her father's house because to accept such a father as relative and to go to his house without being properly invited was not suitable. Text 19. Tata ribirna vyatate shilimukhai sheteritango hridayena duyata svanam yata vakradiyam duruktibir divanisham tapyati marmatadita. Tata. Hare Krishna, Siddharth Prabhu, Dandar Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna,
Lord.
Nana Pranjay Prabhupada.
Tata, so, Aribi, enemy, na, not. Vyatate is heard. Shili, Mukai, by the arrows. Shite, rest. Ardita, aggrieved. Anga, apart. Hridayena, by the heart. Do yata, grieving. Svanam, of relatives. Yata, as. Pakradiyam, deceitful. Turuktibi, by harsh words. Divanisham, day and night. Tapyati, suffers. Marmatadita, one whose feelings are hurt. Translation. Lord Shiva continued. If one is hurt by the arrows of an enemy, he is not as aggrieved as when he is cut by the unkind words of a relative, for such grief continues to rend his heart day and night. Purport. Sati might have concluded that she would take the risk of going to her father's house, and even if her father spoke unkindly against her, she would be tolerant. As a son sometimes tolerates the reproaches of his parents, but Lord Shiva reminded her that she would not be able to tolerate such unkind words because natural psychology dictates that one can suffer harm from an enemy and not mind so much because pain inflicted by an enemy is natural. But when one is hurt by the strong words of a relative, he suffers the effects continually, day and night, and sometimes the injury becomes so intolerable that one commits suicide. Text number 20. व्यक्तं त्वम् उत्कृष्टगते प्रजापते प्रियात्मजानम् असि सुबूर्मे मता तथापि मानं न पितुः प्रपत्स्यसे मादाश्रयात् का प्रतप्यते यथा परितप्यते यथा. Vyaktam, it is clear, Tvam, you, Utkrishtakate, having the best behavior, Prajapate of Prajapati Daksha, Priya the pet, Atmajanam of the daughters, Asi you are, Subru, O you with the beautiful eyebrows, Me my, Mata consider, Tatapi yet, Manam honor, Na not, Pitu from your father, Prapachyase, you will meet with, Mad Ashrayat, from connection with me. Kaha daksha prati paritapyate is feeling pain. Yataha from whom? Translation. My dear white complexioned wife, it is clear that of the many daughters of Daksha you are the pet. Yet you will not be honored at his house because of your being my wife. Rather you will be sorry that you are connected with me. Purport. Lord Shiva put forward the argument that even if Sati proposed to go alone without her husband, still she would not be received well because she was his wife. There was every chance of a catastrophe even if she wanted to go alone. Therefore, Lord Shiva indirectly requested her to not go to her father's house. Text number 21. पापच्यमानेन हृततुरेन्द्रियाः समृद्धिभिः पुरुषा बुद्धिसाक्षिणाम् अकल्प एष मदिरोधुमञ्जसा परं पदं द्वेष्टि यथा सुरा हरिम्. Papachyamanena, burning. Hrida, with the heart. Atura indriya, who is distressed. Samriddhi, with a pious reputation, etc. Purusha buddhi sakshinam, of those who are always absorbed in thought of the Supreme Lord. Akalpa, being enabled. Esham, of those persons. Adirodum, to rise up. Anjasa, quickly. Padam, merely. Padam, to the standard. Tveshti, envy. Yatha, as much as. Asura, the demons. Harim, the Supreme Person of Godhead. Translation: one who is conducted by false ego and is thus always distressed, both mentally and sensually, cannot tolerate the opulence of self-realized persons, and being unable to rise to the standards of self-realization, he envies such persons as much as demons envy the Supreme Person of Godhead. Purport: the real reason for the enmity between Lord Shiva and Daksha is explained here. Daksha was envious of Lord Shiva because of his high position as an incarnation of a quality of the Supreme Person of Godhead, and because he was directly in contact with the Super Soul and was therefore honored and given a better sitting place than him. There were many other reasons also. Daksha, being materially puffed up, could not tolerate the high position of Lord Shiva, so his anger at Lord Shiva's not standing up in his presence was only the final manifestation of his envy. Lord Shiva is always in meditation and always perceives the super soul as expressed here by the words Purusha Buddhi Sakshinam. The position of one whose intelligence is always absorbed in meditation upon the Supreme Person of Godhead is very great and cannot be imitated by anyone, especially an ordinary person. When Daksha entered the arena of Yagna, Lord Shiva was in meditation and might not have seen Daksha enter, but Daksha took the opportunity to curse him because he had maintained an envious attitude towards Lord Shiva for a long time. Those who are actually self-realized see every individual body as a temple of the Supreme Person of Godhead, because the Supreme Person of Godhead in his Paramatma feature is residing in everyone's body. When one offers respect to the body, it is not to the material body but to the presence of the Supreme Lord. Thus, one who is always in meditation upon the Supreme Lord is always offering his obeisances. But since Daksha was not very elevated, he thought that obeisances were offered to the material body, and because Lord Shiva did not offer respect to his material body, Daksha became envious. Such persons, being unable to rise to the standard of self-realized souls like Lord Shiva, are always envious. The example given here is very suitable. Asuras, demons, or atheists are always envious of the Supreme Person of Godhead. They simply want to kill him. Even in this age, we find some so-called scholars commenting on Bhagavad Gita who are envious of Krishna. When Krishna says, Man mana bhavamat bhakto, 1865, always think of me, become my devotee, and surrender unto me, the so-called scholars comment that it is not to the Krishna that we have to surrender. That is envy. The asuras or atheists, the demons, without reason or cause, are envious of the Supreme Person of Godhead. Similarly, instead of offering respect to self-realized persons, foolish men who cannot approach the highest standard of self-realization are always envious, although there is no reason. Hmm. Ribol. Okay, one straight. Next, we have 30 minutes to read.
I can read.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Text 22. Pratyutkama paratashprashra yanabhivadanam vidyate sadhu nitya umad sunyajame प्राज्ञै परास्मै पुरुषाय चेतसा गृहासाय योजा न देह मानुमे synonyms pratyutgama pratyutgama standing up from one's seat prash, prashrayana welcoming abhivadanam obeisances vidyate are intended sadhu, proper, mitta, mutually, sumadhyame, my dear young wife, rakne, by the wise, parashme, unto supreme, purushaya, unto the super soul, chetasa, with the intelligence, guhashaya, sitting within the body, eva, certainly, na, not, deha, manine, to the person identifying with the body. Expression. My dear young wife, translation proper to emphasis with the semester part teacher. Translation. My dear young wife, certainly friends and relatives offer mutual greetings by standing up, welcoming one another, and offering obeisances. But those who are elevated to the transcendental platform, being intelligent, offer such respects to the super soul, who is sitting within the body, not to the person identified with the body. Purport. It may be argued that since Daksha was the father-in-law of Lord Shiva, it was certainly the duty of Lord Shiva to offer him respect. In answer to that argument, it is explained here that when a learned person stands up or offers obeisances and welcome, he offers respect to the super soul, who is sitting within everyone's heart. It is seen, therefore, among Vaishnavas that even when a disciple offers obeisances to his spiritual master, the spiritual master immediately returns the obeisances because they are mutually offered not to the body but to the super soul. Therefore, the spiritual master also offers respect to the super soul situated in the body of a disciple. The Lord says in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam that offering respect to his devotee is more valuable than offering respect to himself. Devotees do not identify with the body, so offering respect to a Vaishnava means offering respect to Vishnu. It is stated also that, as a matter of etiquette, as soon as one sees a Vaishnava, he must immediately offer him respect, indicating the super soul sitting within. A Vaishnava sees the body as a temple of Vishnu since Lord Shiva had already offered respect to the super soul in Krishna consciousness. Offering respect to Daksha, who identified with his body, was already performed. There was no need to offer respect to his body because that is not directed by any Vedic injunction. Text 23. Sattvam vishuddham vasudeva shabditam yad iyate tatra puman apavrita sattve cha tasmin bhagavan vasudevo hyatokshasha me namasa vidhiyate. Synonyms: Sattvam, consciousness; Vishuddham, pure; Vasudeva, Vasudeva; Shabditam, known as; Yat, because; Iyate, is revealed; Tatra, there; Puman, the Supreme Person; Apavrita, without any covering; Sattve, in consciousness; Cha, and; Tasmin, in that; Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead; Vasudeva, Vasudeva, he, because; Adokshaja, transcendental; me, by me; namasa, with obeisances; vidhiyate, worshipped. Translation. I am always engaged in offering obeisances to Lord Vasudeva in pure Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is always pure consciousness, and in that consciousness the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Vasudeva, is revealed without any covering. Purport. The living entity is constitutionally pure. Asango hya atmayam purusha. In the Vedic literature, it is said that the soul is always pure and uncontaminated by material attachment. The identification of the body with the soul is due to misunderstanding. As soon as one is fully Krishna conscious, it is to be understood that he is in his pure original constitutional position. This state of existence is called Shuddha Sattva, which means that it is transcendental to all material qualities. Since this Shuddha Sattva existence is under the direct action of the internal potency, in this state, the activities of material consciousness stop. For example, when iron is put into fire, it becomes warm, and when it is red hot, although it is iron, it acts like fire. Similarly, when copper is surcharged with electricity, its action as copper stops. It acts as electricity. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Anyone who engages in unadulterated devotional service to the Lord is at once elevated to the position of pure Brahmana. Bhagavad Gita 14:26 Mam cha yoga vicharena bhakti yogena sevate saguna samatite tan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Therefore, Shuddha Sattva, as described in this verse, is the transcendental position which is technically called Vasudeva. Vasudeva is also the name of the person from whom Krishna appears. Vasudeva is also the name of the person from whom Krishna appears. This verse explains that the pure state is called Vasudeva because in that state, Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is revealed without any covering. To execute unadulterated devotional service, therefore, one must follow the rules and regulations of devotional service without desire to gain material profit by fruitive activities or by mental speculation. In pure devotional service, one simply serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a matter of duty, without reason and without being impeded by material conditions. That is called Shuddha Sattva or Vasudeva, because in that stage the Supreme Person Krishna is revealed in the heart of the devotee. Srila Jiva Goswami has very nicely described this Vasudeva or Shuddha Sattva in his Bhagavad Sandarbha. He explains that Ashtottara Sata 108 is added to the name of the spiritual master to indicate one who is situated in Shuddha Sattva or in the transcendental state of Vasudeva. The word Vasudeva is also used for other purposes. For example, Vasudeva also means one who is everywhere or all-pervading. The sun is also called Vasudeva Shabditam. The word Vasudeva may be utilized for different purposes, but whatever purpose we adopt, Vasudeva means the all-pervading. Where was I? The word Vasudeva may be utilized for different purposes, but whatever purpose we adopt, Vasudeva means the all-pervading or localized Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also stated Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Bhagavad Gita 7.19. Factual realization is to understand Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and surrender unto him. Vasudeva is the field where Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is revealed. When one is free from the contamination of material nature and is situated in pure Krishna consciousness, or in the Vasudeva state, Vasudeva, the Supreme Person, is revealed. This state is also called Kaivalya, which means pure consciousness. Jnanam Satvikam Kaivalyam. When one is situated in pure transcendental knowledge, that is called Kaivalya. Therefore, Vasudeva also means Kaivalya, a word which is generally used by impersonalists. Impersonal Kaivalya is not the last stage of realization, but in Krishna consciousness, Kaivalya, when one understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then his life is successful. In that pure state, by hearing, chanting, remembering, etc. Because of the development of knowledge of the science of Krishna, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All these activities are under the guidance of the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. The action of the internal potency is also described in this verse, Apavrita, free from any covering. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, His name, His form, His quality, His paraphernalia, etc., are beyond material nature. Being transcendental, it is not possible to understand any one of them with materialistic senses. When the senses are purified by the discharge of pure devotional service, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. The pure sense can see Krishna without covering. Now one may inquire that since factually the devotee has the same material existential body, how is it possible that the same materialistic eyes become purified by devotional service. The example stated by Lord Chaitanya is that devotional service cleanses the mirror of the mind. In a clean mirror, one can see his face very distinctly. Similarly, simply by cleansing the mirror of the mind, one can have a clear conception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena, by executing one's prescribed duties in devotional service, Chetananyadamina, Bhagavad Gita 8.8. Or simply by hearing about God and chanting about Him, if one's mind is always engaged in chanting and hearing and is not allowed to go elsewhere, one can realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As confirmed by Lord Chaitanya, by the Bhakti Yoga process, beginning from hearing and chanting, one can cleanse the heart and mind, and thus one can clearly see the face of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva said that since his heart was always filled with the conception of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of his presence within his mind and heart, he was always offering obeisances unto him. In other words, Lord Shiva is always in trance, samadhi. This samadhi is not under the control of the devotee, it is under the control of the Vasudeva. For the entire internal energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead acts under his order. Of course, the material energy also acts by his order, but his direct will is specifically executed through the spiritual energy. Thus, by spiritual energy, he reveals himself. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita, Sambhavamya Atmamaya, Bhagavad Gita 4:6. Atmamaya means internal potency. By his sweet will he reveals himself by his internal potency, being satisfied by the transcendental loving service of the devotee. The devotee never commands, "My dear Lord, please come here so that I can see you." It is not the position of the devotee to command the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to come before him or to dance before him. There are so there are many so-called devotees who command the Lord to come before them dancing. The Lord, however, is not subject to anyone's command. But if he is satisfied by one's pure devotional activities, he reveals himself. Therefore, a meaningful word in this verse is adokshaja, for it indicates that the activities of our material senses will fail to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by the attempt of a speculative mind. But if one desires, he can subdue all the material activities of his senses, and by manifesting his spiritual energy, the Lord can reveal himself to the pure devotee. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead reveals himself to the pure devotee, the devotee has no other duty than to offer him respectful obeisances. The Absolute Truth reveals himself to the devotee in his form. He is not formless. The Vasudeva is not formless because it is stated in this verse that as soon as the Lord reveals himself, the devotee offers his obeisances. Obeisances are offered to a person, not to anything impersonal. One should not accept the Mayavadi interpretation that Vasudeva is impersonal. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Prapadyate, one surrenders. One surrenders to a person, not to impersonal non-duality. Whenever there is a question of surrendering or offering obeisances, there must be an object of surrender or obeisances. Text 24. Tatte nirikshyo na pita piteha krit daksho mamadvit tad anu vratascha ye yo vishvasarg yajnagatam avroru mam anagasam durvachaso karot tira. That therefore they your niriksha to be seen na not pita your father api although Deyakrit the giver of your body daksha mama my dvit envious tat anuvrita is Daksha's followers cha also ye who ya who daksha vishwas vish vishwashrik of the Vishwasrijis Yajna Katha, being present at the sacrifice. Varu Vara Uru, O Sati, mam me anagasam, being innocent, durvachasa, with cruel words, akarotira, has insulted. Translation. Therefore you should not see your father, although he is the giver of your body, because he and his followers are envious of me. Because of his envy, O most worshipful one, he has insulted me with cruel words, although I am innocent. Purport. For a woman, both the husband and the father are equally worshipable. The husband is the protector of a woman during a youthful life, whereas the father is a protector during her childhood. Thus, both are worshipable, but especially the father, because he is the giver of the body. Lord Shiva reminded Sati, your father is undoubtedly worshipable, even more than I am. But take care, for although he is the giver of your body, he may also be the taker of your body, because when you see your father, because of your association with me, he may insult you. An insult from a relative is worse than death, especially when one is well situated. Text 25. यदि व्रजिष्यस्य अतिथाय मद्वाचो भद्रं भावत्य न ततो भविष्यति सम्भवितस्य स्वजनपराभवो यदा स सद्यो मरणाय कल्पते. Yadi if vrajishyasi you will go. Atihaya neglecting. Matvacha my words. Vatram good. Bhavatya your not tata then Vavishyati will become Sambhavitasya most respectable Swajanat by your own relative. Parabhava are insulted Yada when Saha that insult. Satya immediately. Maharanaya to death. Kalpate is equal. Translation. If, in spite of this instruction, you decide to go, neglecting my words, the future will not be good for you. You are most respectable, and when you are insulted by a relative, it will immediately be equal to death. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of the fourth canto, third chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam entitled Talks Between Lord Shiva and Sati. Haribol.
Dibo. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, we
Yes,
have
Prabhu.
like 15 minutes more or 10 minutes more. We can start the next one. Who wants to read?
I can read.
Yes, Prabhu. Okay, Vivek, you can read next. So let's read like four verses or three, four, five, something like that.
Prabhu, scroll can you scroll? Okay, chapter 4. Sati quits her body. Text 1. Maitreya Vacha. Etvad Uktva Vikarma Sankarana Patye Anga Nasham Yatra Chintayan Sudar Didikshu Parikshan Tisab Bhavan Nishkarmati Nirvitsati Vidashasa Maitra Vacha Maitreya said Etavat so much Utva after speaking Vira Virarama 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 was silent. Sankaraha, Lord Shiva, Patni, Anga Nasham, the destruction of the body of his wife. He, since Ubhyartra, in both cases, Chintayam, understanding, Surat Didikshu, being anxious to see her relatives, Parisamkita, being afraid, Bhavat of Shiva, Nishkarmati, moving out, Nirvi, Nirvisati, moving in, Vidha, divided, Asa was, Sa, she, Sati. Translation Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. That says, Maitreya said, Lord Shiva was silent after speaking to Sati. Seeing her, seeing her between decisions, Sati was very much anxious to see her relatives at her father's house, but at the same time she was afraid of Lord Shiva's warning. Her mind unsettled, she moved in and out of the room as if swinging moves this way and that. Purport. Sati's mind was divided about whether to go her father's house or obey the orders of Lord Shiva. The struggle between the two decisions was so strong that she was pushed from one side of the room to another, and she began to move just like the pendulum of a clock. Text 2. प्रतिघता दुर्मानः स्नेहरुद्धते अश्रु कलति विहवला भावं भावन्ये अप्रीति पुरुषं पुरुषा प्र प्रदक्ष्यति व्यक्त स यथा विपत्तु Sutra of the desire to see her relatives, pra- Pratighatha, the prevention, Durmana, feeling sorry, Snehat, from affection, Uddhati, crying, Ashrukala, by dropping of tears, Ativihal, Ativiwala, very afflicted, Bhavam, Lord Shiva, Bhavani, Sati, uh, Aprati Purusham, without an equal or rival, Purusha, with anger, Pradakshati, 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 to blast Eva, as if I, the Satta, looked at Jata, Vipathutu, Vipathu, shaking. Translation. Sati felt very sorry at being forbidden to go see her relatives at her father's house, and due to affection for them, tears fell from her eyes, shaking and very much affected. She looked at her uncommon husband, Lord Shiva, as if she were going to blast him with her vision. Purport. The word Aprati Purusham, used in this verse, means one who has no equal. Lord Shiva has no equal in the material world in regard to equality towards everyone. His wife Sati knew that her husband was equal towards everyone, so why in this case was he so unkind to his wife that he did not allow her to go to her father's house? This distressed her more than she could tolerate, and she looked at her husband, and if she were ready to blast him with her vision. In other words, since Lord Shiva in the Atma, Shiva also means Atma. It is indicated here that Sati was prepared to commit suicide. Another meaning of the word Aprati Purushaha is the personality who has no rival. Uh, since Lord Shiva could not be persuaded to give her permission, Sati took shelter of a woman's last weapon, keeping which forced a husband to agree to the proposal of his wife. Text 3. ततो विनि ततो विनिः स्वस्य सति विहाय तं शोकेन रोषेण च हुयता वृथा पित्रोरगत्रेण विमूढधीर्गृहन् प्रेमात्मनो यो वृद्धम् अदत् सतं प्रिया Satat Sahasratha. Then Vinihashaya, breathing very heavily. Sati Vihaya, leaving Satam, Lord Shiva, so came by bewilderment, closing by anger, Cha and Suyat afflicted Ridha with the heart withdraw of her father Agad. She went Satvena by her womanly nature, Vimuda deluded, Dehi intelligence Grahan to the house, Preman Premana due to affection, Atmana of his body, Yeha who Ardam of Adat cave, Satam to the saintly, dear. Translation. Therefore, thereafter, Sati left her husband, Lord Shiva, who had given her of his word to affliction, and breathing very heavily because of anger and bewilderment, she went to the house of her father. This less intelligent act was due to her being a weak woman. Support. According to the Vedic conception of family life, the husband gives of his body to his wife, and the wife gives of her body to her husband. In other words, husband without a wife or a wife without husband is incomplete. The Vedic material relationship existed between Lord Shiva and Sati, but sometimes due to weakness, a woman becomes very attracted by the members of her father's house, and these happened to Sati. In this verse, it is specifically mentioned that she wanted to live such a great husband as Shiva because of her womanly weakness. In other words, womanly weakness exists even in the relationship between husband and wife. Generally, separation between husband and wife is due to womanly behavior. Divorce takes place due to womanly weakness. The best course for a woman is to abide by the orders of her husband. That makes family that makes family life very peaceful. Sometimes there may be misunderstanding between husband and wife, as found even in such an elevated family relationship as that of Sati and Lord Shiva. But a wife should not leave her husband's protection because of such a misunderstanding. If she does so, it is understood to be due to her womanly weakness. Expo. Tam.
Go. Yes, bro.
Okay, bro.
This one. Let's read this one more.
Last one. Okay, bro. Okay, bro. Tam anvagachan ruta vikramamam सतिम् एकं त्रीणि त्रनुचारा सहस्रसा स प्रसादयक्ष मानिमन् मणिमन् मदहदया पुरो वृन्दृ प्रो पुरो गृणीस्त्रस तत्र तर तरसा गता यतः तं हर सति अन्वगच्छन् followed Druta Vikramam, living rapidly. Prabhu, okay, living rapidly. Sati, Ekam alone, Trinartra of Lord Shiva, who has three eyes, Trinetra, okay. Anuchara, the followers, Sahasrasa, by thousands, Sa Prasada Yaksha, accompanied by his personal associates and the Yakshas. Maniman, Mada, Adya, Maniman, Madha, etc. Pura, Vrenendra, having the Nandi bull in front. Tarasha, swiftly. Gata, Vyataha, without fear. Translation. When they saw Sati living alone very rapidly. Thousands of Lord Shiva's disciples, aided by Maniman and Mada, quickly followed her with his bull, Nandi, in front and accompanied by the Yakshas. Purport. Sati was going very fast so that she might not be checked by her husband, but she was immediately followed by many thousands of disciples of Lord Shiva, headed by Yakshas, Maniman, and Mada. The word Gata Vyatha you- used in this connection means without fear. Sati did not care that she was going alone, therefore, she was almost fearless. The word Anucharaha is also significant for it indicates that Lord Shiva's disciples were always ready to sacrifice anything for Lord Shiva. All of them could understand that the desire of Shiva, who did not want Sati to go alone. Anuchara means those who can immediately understand the purpose of their master.
Ribol, thank you so much, Vivek, bro.
Ribo, thank you so much, Prabhu. Thanks so much for this.
Okay, tomorrow we continue from text number 5. Okay, now 6 Astakam prayers. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamaha davagni nirvapanam Shreyah Kairavachandrika vitaranam vidyavadu jivanam Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamritasvadanam Sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. नाम्नामकारि बहुधानि च सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रार्पितानि अमिता स्मरणेन कालाय तादृशी तव कृपा भगवन्ममापि दुर्दैवमिदर्शमिहा जानिनानुरागः
कृणादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानीना मानदेन कीर्तनीय सदा हरिः न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरं कवितां जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनेश्वरि भवतात् भक्तिर्हेतुकी त्वयि
ऐनन्दतनुज किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्थितधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तय
नयनं गलदशुधारया वदनं गद्गदहृदया गिरा पुलके निशिता वपुः तव नाम ग्रहेण भविष्यति युगायतं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रावर्षायतं शून्यायतं जगत्सर्व गोविन्दवीरेण मे आश्रिष्य वा पादरतां पिनष्ट मामदर्शनान् वर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा विदधातुलं पटो मत्राणसुनैव न परः
हरिबोल. Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all that has accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
Oh my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings and those who have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, out of your kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the strongest state. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. who only want your costly devotional service birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda, I am your Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, your son or other, I fall into the ocean of Patanjali. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the items of food this week. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like your summer, tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do everything, anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Shri Shikshashtakam ki jai, Shri Chaitanya
Jai,
Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna bro, Dandot Pranam to all of you.
Hare Krishna, Subham Prabhu, Tanda Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
So, okay, Prabhu, today I have got late. Sorry, Prabhu.
No problem, Prabhu.
Prabhu, can you give me something summary like what you have read today?
Today we read Sati was going to leave, and Lord Shiva warned him about she should not leave to his father's place, but she still was feeling that she wants to go. Then she was moving out of the room and back to the room like a clock. And then eventually he looked at Shiva like angrily, like she was going to commit suicide. Then what happened? Then she felt really sorry and he wanted to go, but then he left. Then she left, and then the followers of Lord Shiva went behind. So now she's on the way to her father's place.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay.
Is there something else that happened? Can someone add something?
Something from purpose, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, it was a lot of about that woman. This is womanly nature acting like this.
And Prabhu, relatives' words are very harsh.
Oh, yes, Prabhu. Yeah, that was important verse. The words of an enemy doesn't hurt so much because they are expected, but her words of a family member or relative, they hurt a lot. That was one important point. Is in the purport. Hmm. It was explained that husband and father are equally worshipable. It was explained like this, so it was difficult for her.
Yeah, Prabhu, and they have also mentioned that the half of her husband will give to half of the body of the husband will give to a wife, and like in that manner
Yes, Prabhu.
in
Yeah.
family life. It is very pleasing to hear, Prabhu. In Shastra, they have mentioned all, but in we don't know about all these things.
Oh, this is what Lord Shiva says. This was really nice verse.
Yes, this Sundar Gopal Prabhu often quote this.
Yes, Prabhu. Bahujan
Today
Hare.
also he quoted in class, Prabhu.
What, Prabhu?
This verse he was quoted in class.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, many times it has come. Who wants to start the 10 offenses?
Yes, Prabhu, I can read because I have missed the class totally.
Yes, Prabhu.
और जन्म करे यदि श्रवण कीर्तन तो बुद्ध न पाए कृष्ण पते प्रेम धन. One is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not get the love of Godhead. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. First offense, to blaspheme the devotee who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Second offense, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Third offense is to disobey the order of spiritual master or considering him a ordinary man. Fourth offense, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. Fifth offense, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to imagination. Sixth offense, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seventh offense, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Eighth offense, to consider chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda. Ninth offense, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Tenth offense, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and maintain material attachment even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success Krishna Prem. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desire of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for fallen souls. Vanchakalputrapyascha
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय जय हरे हरे बोल।
Hare Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhus, for this bonus reading session. Usually we don't have in Friday, but today I decided we need to have it. So thank you for everyone joining.
Thank you, Swami Prabhu, for hosting.